Up next on MCTV Local 13, Machina Corps brings us Sketchbook Dissections. It's always nice to look back when the demons and monsters were only infants.
Sketchbook Dissections.
Sketchbook Dissections. Wonderful.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Sketchbook Dissections. We are going to cut up a sketchbook. We're going to pull its insides out and we're going to put them into our brains and we're going to learn things. It's going to be awesome. This is a Bristol visual journal. What's your story? We're going to find out what my story is. So this is about 2015. My main influence in 2015, Jim Mahfood. I was really into these sketches he was posting on like Instagram, and he was using these kind of calligraphy pens and just doing these crazy, loose, high energy comic book pictures, and I wanted to draw like that. So a lot of, this will be a quicker one, a lot of the stuff in this sketchbook is me playing with a new style, taking a pencil, really just kind of going crazy energy. So like anatomy meant nothing to me as long as it looked okay in my head. Now looking back at the time, I thought these were amazing and that Marvel should be like paying me money to draw their comic book characters. Looking back, not so much. Some of them are really awkward, but I mean, let's take a look. So this is my character Casey. She's from my comic Gloom or Flood, depending on what year it was I was working on it. But everybody had these umbrellas and she had this tattoo signifying the great flood, the gloom, which was this never-ending rain. It just rained forever and ever, and everything was overgrown and crazy, and all these different societies dealt with it in different ways. Some of them medicated themselves, some of them moved up into the mountains to try to get above the clouds, and it was this whole thing. It just never really happened, but that's Casey. Here she is with her umbrella. That's not so great though. This is, I forget her name, but her hair was supposed to be like a star, like it gets pointy at the top and goes out on the sides, and she was like a total badass girl. Her and Casey were in a gang together. There you can see the star hair more here. Star hair more here. Star hair more here. This is kind of a cool picture. So this is getting into that style where it's just shapes and energy, and feet just turn into little spikes, and this one I really like. This one's pretty cool. Her face looks pretty cool. I'm not a fan of these bricks over here. I don't think that worked out quite as well, but you'll see. Some of these I think are really cool and some of them not so much. Here we have Spawn. Forgot about this one. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one. This is too messy. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of unbalanced. It's not that appealing to me. Spider-Man, that's definitely a clunker. Just not enough. I could see what I was going for with the kind of chunky leg here kind of dwindling away, but there's just too much negative space and not in a good way. This is Ariel. The hair was kind of fun, but not super into this one either. Sorry, Steve. I'm not feeling a lot of these. Okay, this one's cool. This is Cobra Commander from G.I. Joe. I do like this one. So I liked the idea of having a lot of empty space and parts, and then just a whole bunch of little details and knickknacks and other parts. This hand could definitely use some work. Gun's kind of funny. That's like a 90s comic book gun. face is cool. I like the perspective on that. Sticking with G.I. Joe, we got the twins. I can remember when I first got the toy for the were they just called the twins? I don't know. They had one of them had the scar. But I remember when I got the toy and they had a motorcycle or something like that with them. I was in Vermont with my family, and man, I love G.I. Joe toys. Those were so cool. Even more G.I. Joe Serpentor. This is taking me back. Yeah, I must have been really nostalgic at the time, thinking about all those different toys that I had for G.I. Joe. Serpentor was a cool look. Here's Magneto. He's one of my favorite comic book villains. Again, I can see what I was going for, kind of this flow and the crazy perspective, but something about there's just too much unpleasant negative space. It just doesn't work for me. I'd have to redo this one. I was really into color combinations for sports teams, for comic book characters. I don't know, the purple and the red I thought was really cool. Here's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Got Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, Michelangelo. It's kind of cool. It's a little messy. Maybe it would look better if it was colored or something. More G.I. Joe. We got Destro, and I forget what these guys are called, Bat or something. This one I friggin' really like. I think that's really cool. I love all the detail and how it kind of falls apart into empty space there. I like the shape of it. Destro's okay, except his arms don't seem to match very much. So much of this was just playing. I thought I had discovered this really cool style. Look at these tiny little hands, these tiny little feet, but I had this idea that okay, if I want to play with abs and pecs and muscle structure, I'm going to make a whole lot of detail and a whole lot of space out of those, and then just these little tiny hands and stuff. I felt like I was onto something, and I was experimenting by drawing a whole bunch of characters that I loved growing up. So I don't know, moved on to Spider-Man characters now. We got Mysterio. Captain America. Is really into doing just these bizarre shapes. Jim Mahfood and Scotty Young would be my main influences here. I don't know what he's doing. I literally thought, maybe I could be a Marvel artist. Could you imagine? Here's Batman. Can we zoom in on this? Alright, we're zoomed in now. Here's Batman, just mean mugging the camera, flying over the city. And the city's really far in the background, so he's basically over the ocean right now. just flying and... Okay, here's Superman. I hate this one. This looks terrible. He's very smug here. Superman's an asshole. I don't know what's going on with these droopy arms, and this is wrestler Roman Reigns. Drawing his tattoos was fun. He's Samoan, so he's got those Samoan, just all kinds of shapes and designs all over his arms. That was pretty cool. Kind of like my Roman Reigns here. I don't know if you can see this one very well, but this is Uncle Jesse games. I did a Let's Play well before Once Upon a Midnight Gaming with my friend. The original title for it was Uncle Jesse Games. For some reason, Jesse spelled with a G, so it's ugh, have mercy. I don't really remember why we were going for Uncle Jesse Games. More wrestlers. We got Daniel Bryan here. This is pretty good. Okay, here we have Daredevil. It looks oddly flat. It doesn't look three-dimensional enough for me. I just want to take a red pen and fix what should be changed here, but I appreciate the effort, the extreme perspective, I love to play around with perspective as much as I can. This is rapper Azealia Banks. I don't know, I liked her 212 song. Her first album was really good. I didn't finish this, but this is Yana Lee, I Am I, Who Am I? God, I love her. I love her so much. She is currently posting a bunch of old music she did from like 2010 or so, which was like my peak I Am I, Who Am I years of my fandom. If you're into just spooky, weird stuff, check out the first like 6 videos she uploaded on YouTube. They're called the Prelude videos in the fandom, but oh my god, this stuff gave me like nightmares and I was just obsessed with it. I started drawing fat wrestlers. I don't know why. Here's fat John Cena, here's fat Roman Reigns. This is, what was the name of that? The Magellan's Castle, I think? I don't know, yeah, it was, again, nostalgic for like staying home from school and watching kid shows or something, but that's kind of cool, I like that. So 2015, my main project for the entire year was trying to do a Civil War book called The War Artist. I had this whole idea. I spent a whole year working on these Civil War pieces. We'll get back to that in a second. First, we need some blue highlighter art. We got Punisher here. Cookie Monster. This is freaking cool. This is a good picture. This is the best picture of Cookie Monster anybody's ever drawn. I like it. Spider-Gwen. I was just trying to see like who was a popular character at the time and how would I approach it with my style. So here's my Spider-Gwen. That's pretty cool. Mario did not translate as well. I like Toad's face here. Princess looks like she's lifting up her dress for some reason. Mario looks crazed. He's been on a bender. Okay, so we're back to the Civil War stuff. I do so many Civil War pictures. I wrote this entire book. I didn't write the whole book. I wrote a few chapters of it, and I plotted the entire book, and it was an epic. It was a huge story, a lot of it based off of real stuff, off of actual relatives of mine, spanning the course of the Civil War and going into photography and art and the artists that would travel along with the armies and draw things for newspapers back home. I worked my butt off on it, but I'm not a history student, and I just clearly didn't know enough. It's tough when you're writing about 1860. Literally every single sentence I had to stop and go, was that a thing in 1860? Was that real? Did people do that? And trying to write a young adult novel when young adult wasn't a concept, teenage wasn't really a concept then. I tried my best, but that one didn't go anywhere. Here's a cool Tribe Called Quest picture. I love Tribe Called Quest. Midnight Marauders might be one of my favorite all-time albums. I just never get tired of that. Electric Relaxation could be my number one all-time favorite hip-hop song. Could be. Here's some more Civil War stuff. Here's Lincoln with some Tribe Called Quest-esque decoration around him. Colonel Stedman, draw a rifle, hat, it's all learning. More Civil War. It's kind of funny seeing that extreme comic book style I was going for and then trying to apply it to something so realistic and down to earth and gritty. Winnie the Pooh characters, this didn't translate too well to me. I kind of like Eeyore, but Tigger looks bad. Piglet's cool. And as all things do, we end with Cable. This should be cool. The detail's cool. The idea's on place, but his arms are just not correct. Even in my extreme weird style, the arms are not correct. They don't look like they should be out more. They should be curved more. This stuff's fun. All the details fun. That's a cool picture. It was a nice try, but yeah. That was my art style circa 2015. This sketchbook is dissected. If you enjoyed that, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want, you can just like. If you want, you could just comment. Subscribing would be the best of all. But I mean, if you do all three, that's how you win.
Get out of my head and into my sketchbook. As always, thank you for joining us today on MCTV Local 13. I hope you do find your way home sooner rather than later. But in the meantime, we'll be here for you whenever you need us most. I've got the med kit nearby.